Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. So greatly appreciated. Truly, truly is. Before we get started, let me give you my usual disclaimer that this video is for educational purposes only. Please do not take what I say as fact. Please always do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Next, if you have not liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please consider doing so. It really helps me out and I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so Gemma Mitchell. Gemma Mitchell was born in Australia on July 22nd, 1984. She's a registered osteopath. Okay, what is an osteopath, right? An osteopath is a physician that focuses on the joints, muscles, and spine. In 2004, Gemma attended King's College in London, but more importantly, one of the classes she was required to take was the structural basis of human functioning. And part of this class, there was a requirement to learn how to dissect the human body. After college, Gemma moved back to Australia, and then in 2015, she moved back to the UK. That's when she had quit working, and because she was not registered with the General Osteopath Council, she was not allowed to practice in the UK. She shared a dilapidated home with her retired mother in northwest London, and even though the home was worth £4 million, it had been owned by the family for several generations and it was essentially falling apart. So Gemma and her mother decide that they want to put an extra floor on the home, and they pay two builders $230,000 to do so. But the builders that they hired were crooked, and they basically took the money and left the home half done with scaffolding for the roof. It's also been reported that Gemma had a very turbulent relationship with her sister. And in 2016, she had a conviction for breaching a non-molestation order relating to her sister and her brother-in-law. But the Northwest London Magistrates Court gave her conditional discharge. In August of 2020, Gemma met a 67-year-old woman named Deborah Chung. The two met at church and they considered themselves devout Christians. And because of this, they became fast friends. Deborah Chung was a widow who was originally from Malaysia, and she had been living in London for 30 years at the time, right prior to her death. It's also said that she was quite well off and extremely generous. Deborah was described as having a sweet and childlike nature. On the flip side, Deborah suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, and as a result of this, she would have many delusions. Delusions such as believing that Gemma would be able to cure her with spiritual healing, that she was in a relationship with Prince Charles, and that she was able to communicate with him through YouTube. Right before her death, Deborah actually suffered a relapse in her mental health, and she began sending letters to Prince Charles and Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Because of the relapse, she was forced to be put on antipsychotic medication against her will. The medication began to affect her not only mentally but physically. And just days before her death, she is seen on CCTV having difficulty walking. So she was in a very fragile state. Text messages revealed that Deborah knew about the financial difficulties that Gemma was having and how she was scammed by the builders. It was also revealed in text messages that Deborah offered to give Gemma £200,000 to finish the home. For unknown reasons, Deborah later chose to recant her offer, telling Mitchell to just sell the home and enjoy the money instead. This very well could have been a result of her mental health issues, or the two could have had a falling out. I don't know. Regardless, it was her money and she had the right to do whatever she wanted with it. June 11th, 2021, Gemma Mitchell left home that morning extremely early, and she's later seen on CCTV walking down the street with a blue suitcase. It is said that she traveled to Deborah Chong's house via public transportation and that she was inside the home for about 5 hours. When she emerged from the home, her hand was injured, and she would later be seen on CCTV at St. Thomas's Hospital seeking medical attention for a fractured finger, telling doctors and hospital staff that she slammed her finger in a car door. Not only this, but Gemma was also seen on CCTV with 2 suitcases this time, and one of them was clearly very heavy. That would be because Deborah was inside of it. The other suitcase that she is seen with belonged to Deborah, and it contained Deborah's important documents, including her passport, her driver's license, her banking information, her cards, and her naturalization papers. Because, remember, she's originally from Malaysia. Gemma brings both suitcases to her home. The one that contained Deborah's papers was placed in her mother's bedroom, and the one that contained Deborah was placed in the backyard for 2 whole weeks. Can you imagine the smell? My Lord, is it hot in June in the winter? Is it hot in London in the winter? Let's see. Alexa, what is the weather in London in June?
I only have weather information for the next 10 days.
Alexa, how hot is London in June?
The closest answer I know is from 2016, when London hosted 19.88 million tourists.
Oh, Alexa. Alexa, is it hot in London in the summer?
In the summer, the average high temperature in London, United Kingdom, is 71 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thanks. It's pretty hot. She's a real gem, isn't she? Gemma has a neighbor named Virgil. Virgil passed a few months prior to all of this happening. During the 2 weeks from the time that Deborah ended up in the backyard to the time when she decides to get rid of her, Gemma goes into Virgil's home and she gets access to documents that belong to him and his cell phone. She then calls the phone company and pretends to be Virgil and reactivates his cell phone. Not only that, on the day that she plans to dispose of Deborah, she calls and hires a car for 24 hours using Virgil's cell phone. Then on the day that she plans to dispose of the suitcase, she leaves her cell phone at home and she takes Virgil's cell phone with her. June 26, 2021. She's seen on CCTV having difficulty lifting the suitcase into the car because of how heavy it is. Because Deborah's in there. Once loaded, Gemma takes the car approximately 200 miles away to a town called Salcombe in Devon. During the drive, she unexpectedly gets a flat tire. So this puts a huge dent in the amount of time that she had allotted for herself. Because now you have to factor in 200 miles, so 400 miles round trip, plus the time that it would take to find a spot and get rid of it. She only has 24 hours, and now she has to wait for her tire to get fixed. Because of this, Gemma would decide to basically toss Deborah to the bottom of some steps on a public walkway. The person that changed her tire that day later told police that Gemma seemed to be in a confused state of mind, going on to say that the car had an old musty smell and that he found it quite weird that she wanted to keep the old tire. After the tire's fixed, Gemma is seen on CCTV again, just meters away from where Deborah was found by a passerby.
I just found a body.
Right, okay. A body, is it? Are they breathing?
No, they're dead. They look like they've possibly been there like a few days or something with some flies and stuff.
Right, okay. Bear with me a second. Let's put this on.
When police uncover the body, they realize that Deborah's head, the first two bones that form the spine and her larynx, is missing. It would take them 4 days to find the head 33 feet away from the body. It's awful. Deborah's body was so badly decomposed that the medical examiner wasn't able to determine the actual cause of death, but he was able to determine that she had suffered skull and rib fractures. Going on to say that these could have occurred one of two ways. Either she was hit with a heavy object or she was pushed onto heavy objects, but no weapons ever been found. They would later find the suitcase Deborah was in on the top of a roof. The suitcase only contained a bloodstained towel and none of Deborah's DNA. When Gemma was first questioned, she told authorities that the only thing she knew was that Deborah was very depressed and that she wanted to get away for a little bit somewhere close to the ocean.
That the person driving the Volvo waited in the car all that time with the windows down and the front door open, the passenger door open, when it was literally chucking it down with rain and it was windy. Why is that, Gemma?
No comment.
The car stank, didn't it, Gemma?
No comment.
Stunk of a dead person.
No comment.
Stunk of Deborah's decomposing body. Is that right, Gemma?
No comment.
During the search of Gemma's home, police found Deborah's will. Okay? The will stated that she wanted to leave 95% of her assets to Gemma and the other 5% of her assets to Gemma's mother. For someone that's so smart, Gemma, you're really dumb. The will also had the signatures of 2 witnesses, okay? One of them being her deceased neighbor, Virgil. The will was obviously forged by Gemma. I mean, it's not rocket science. And a handwriting expert would later testify in court that Virgil's signature was copied from his passport. The same passport that was found in Gemma's home. Again, for somebody so smart, you're really stupid. Gemma Mitchell maintained her innocence and still does to this day, refusing to give any answers to Deborah's family. Her mother also maintains Gemma's innocence.
Her DNA is not on the body, so how possibly can she have done it? How possibly? It's just not possible. And we are going to take it further, I can tell you.
And claims that the suitcase was instead filled with, quote, crockery, cutlery, and tea towels. Okay, lady. And I have a bridge that I can sell you. Come on. You can't truly believe that. Unless she's in on it. She very well might be. I don't know, though. After Deborah's death, ex-friend of Gemma Mitchell, 20-year-old Karen, spoke out. The two met in 2018 at a Christian conference in London, and Karen even lived in Gemma's house for a bit. Karen would end her friendship with Mitchell after she found out that Gemma was trying to steal her boyfriend, calling her a snake, which, reasonable. She is. She went on to say that Gemma was a nice person, but that there was something extremely weird about her. She also told the news outlet that when she thinks about all the times that she was alone with Gemma in the home and how this could have been her, it's just awful. I'm sure it scares the crap out of her. And I'm also sure that she thanks her lucky stars every single day. Chong's sister read a victim impact statement from Malaysia via Skype saying, "We still do not understand how she died. Did she suffer? This will haunt me forever." Gemma was ultimately found guilty and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 35 years. During sentencing, which was the first sentencing in the UK to ever be televised live, Judge Richard Marks said that the murder was clearly done for financial gain, obviously. Going on to say, "I'm driven to the conclusion that you are extremely devious." Agreed. There is a chilling aspect of what you did and with her body after you killed her. You have shown absolutely no remorse, and it appears that you are in complete denial as to what you did, notwithstanding what, in my judgment, amounted to overwhelming evidence against you. The enormity of your crime is profoundly shocking, even more so given your apparent religious devotion and the fact that Deborah Chong was a good friend to you and had shown you kindness.
Apart from anything else, I am driven to the conclusion that you are extremely devious. I said at the outset of these remarks that I would return to the issue of mitigating and aggravating features. The sole mitigation is that you are effectively a woman of previous good character, although given the gravity of your crime, in my judgment, that entitles you to only a very modest discount. As to aggravating features, there are the following. Firstly, the amount of planning and premeditation that went into this offence, although it is right to acknowledge that this is bound to be an invariable feature of a crime done for gain, and I must avoid double counting in that regard. Secondly, there is the issue of Deborah's mental and physical vulnerability, to which I have already referred, and of which you were very well aware. Thirdly, there is the chilling aspect of what you did to and with her body after you had killed her. You have shown absolutely no remorse, and it appears that you are in complete denial as to what you did, notwithstanding what, in my judgment, amounted to overwhelming evidence against you. The enormity of your crime is profoundly shocking, even more so given your apparent religious devotion as well as the fact that Deborah Chong was a good friend to you and had shown you great kindness.
Okay, guys, if you're still here, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you so very much. I truly do. Please leave me a like and a comment. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. If you have any case suggestions, email me, harding527 at yahoo.com. Until next time, stay safe out there.